gas prices. That's kind of top of mind, isn't it? Well, they've been slowly declining the past few weeks. May 21st saw national gas prices peak at $4.57 nationally. Prices are now just about $4 nationally, and we are chatting with Patrick Haan of GasBuddy about this positive trend. Thanks so much for being with us this morning, and of course, developments, what we've seen in the Middle East, specifically with Iran and the U.S., the war, things have started to improve, correct?
And they certainly have. At least that's the look, at least for now. Salt Lake City gas prices have already been declining. To your point, average price is now $4.07 in Salt Lake City. That is down 23 cents from last week. We did see a bit of a price jump to $4.39 a gallon, but prices are now receding. Prices now 49 cents lower than they were a month ago. And I do expect that over the next week or two, so long as this deal between the U.S. and Iran is maintained and the Strait reopens, that we're going to see more gas prices falling back below the $4 a gallon mark, certainly just in time for July 4. Oil prices down about 5.5% to 6% this morning. So again, as long as this deal holds up, the Strait of Hormuz reopens, we could see gas prices this summer, or at least a majority of the remainder of the summer, below that $4 a gallon mark, barring other factors like hurricane season and refining issues as well. So certainly a positive development, but we have to start now seeing ships get through the Strait of Hormuz for these lower prices to be maintained.
Okay, and we know that's anybody's guess because things have been on and off, but it is an official agreement right now, but still it's not completely a done deal.
Exactly right. The deal is going to be signed later this week, and Israel's still not really happy and may not go along with this deal from their side of things. So it's going to be something that the U.S. may have to talk with Israel about to maintain this. But for now, obviously, oil markets reacting based on the fact that they believe the Strait of Hormuz will reopen. Oil now just falling back below the $80 a barrel mark for the first time to the lowest level also since March. So certainly a positive development. If you're a motorist, gas prices have continued falling. Diesel prices will continue falling as well. And that's great news for the U.S. economy. And all of this news, though, certainly very much contingent on the Strait reopening. So, and we've seen a few head fakes in the past couple of months as we've navigated this situation. I'm hoping that the Strait does reopen. If it does, it could mean a second half of the summer that is far more friendly to your wallet at the gas pump than the first half.
But it's going to take longer for prices to drop close to $3 a gallon. Are we even going to see that before year's over?
Well, you know, it's not impossible, but to your point, it will take quite many months to rebuild global oil inventories. In fact, government data that's likely to be released here in the next few hours is going to point out that while this deal has materialized, the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve has likely fallen to its lowest level since 1983. And that is why it may take many months, potentially late 2026 or early 2027, to see the return of those pre-war prices. Global oil inventories have been declining precipitously over the last couple of months, and it's kind of like refilling an Olympic-sized swimming pool with a garden hose. It's going to take a while.
Oh, yeah, that's a good analogy. Okay, so how long does it usually take for gas prices to reflect the crude oil prices?
Well, it depends on how quickly and how much oil goes down. Today, we're at about a 6% loss, so that could take a week or 2 weeks for retail gas prices to fully pass those decreases along. I was looking at the math earlier today. This is a popular refrain we get. Oil prices over the last 3 weeks have fallen about 12.5%. Over the same time, gas prices have fallen by 11%. So it's a strong correlation, but to your point, there is a bit of a delay, and that delay, depending on how big of a decline the price of oil is, could take a couple of weeks. So I do expect here as we get into July 4, so long as there's not some sort of huge curveball, the gas prices would continue trending lower. And by July 4, we could see a lot more stations in Utah below that $4 a gallon mark.
So what does this do for summer travel? I mean, with this news, are people thinking, yeah, I think we'll go ahead and take that trip? Or are people still just going to kind of maybe pull back a little bit?
You know, summer, we don't get much, in terms of 3 months of summer. A lot of Americans don't tend to really slow down. Gas prices weren't at record levels. And so a lot of Americans may have been cutting back here and there. A lot of Americans were still sticking to their summer travel plans. Now, with gas prices maybe declining into the second half of the summer, Americans may increase their demand incrementally. They might do things like running the boat at their lake more often, or doing more recreational activity. But I don't necessarily think that a lot of Americans are going to say, "Hey, let's do all these other plans," because there still is the threat of hurricane season as well. So Americans probably will see an incremental increase in gasoline consumption, but most Americans probably were not going to be steered away from summer travel, given that summer is only that finite three-month period of time.
Let's talk about things that people can do now to save money at the pump. Probably a lot of the traditional things that we've heard of before.
Yeah, certainly. Things like driving more fuel efficiently, that certainly can save quite a bit if you use your cruise control. Setting it for the speed limit or slightly below can greatly enhance the amount of miles you get out of every tank. And with gas and oil prices coming down, you may want to wait a couple of days. Don't be in a hurry to fill your tank up, because with oil down 5.5% today, that is likely to open the door for a continued drop in the price of gasoline. Gas prices in a week could be another 10 or 20 cents a gallon lower than where they are today. When you do need to fill up, apps like GasBuddy, Google Maps, and Waze can show you all of those lowest prices around Salt Lake City. And when you find a station that has a low price, depending on how you pay for that fuel, there may be a loyalty program as well that can reduce prices. If you can stack all those savings, you'll generally do better by an amount of 25 to 50 cents a gallon. So all of those added up can save quite a bit of money.
So are we likely to see the trend of prices dropping at the gas pump like they have been the last little while?
In the last couple of weeks, the national average has gone down now 5 straight weeks. Utah has seen a decrease after that jump up last week. I do expect now the downward momentum will likely continue into a good part of this week. Now, keep in mind, if the strait doesn't reopen, if there's a sudden escalation, that could reverse oil prices. But for now, it's looking like we may see lower prices into the week across the state.
All right, Patrick Haan, thank you very much for being with us. Always good talking with you, and gives us a pretty good grasp on what's happening with gas and some of those things that really impact our bottom line in our pocketbooks. So,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And remember, you can watch ARC Salt Lake anytime on your phone, tablet, or TV. Check out highlights from all of our newscasts on the ARC Salt Lake YouTube page at the QR code you see right here on the screen.